We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Mob vandalizes Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence in Dhaka during an online speech by former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Ceasefire in East Congo appears to crumble as rebels take another town. UN estimates at least 2,900 killed in fighting in DRC's Goma. Trump signs executive order to bar transgender athletes from girls and women's sports, says US will push IOC to change its rules on transgender before 2028 Los Angeles Games. French Prime Minister Francois Bayrou survives no confidence motion in Parliament, paving way for the adoption of country's budget for 2025. And in cricket, after decimating England in T20 format, India to meet England in first one-day international in Nagpur on Thursday. Well, on to the details now. In Bangladesh, violent mob on Wednesday vandalized Bangabandhu Memorial Museum in Dhaka, the former residence of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangladesh's founding president and father of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The deplorable incident occurred at about 8 p.m. local time after the Student Against Discrimination convener Hasnat Abdullah gave an inflammatory call on Facebook to that effect. Well, according to the media sources, the incident was allegedly supported by Professor Yunus-led interim government as one of his colleagues in the government, Asif Mahmood, local government and youth and sports advisor, also wrote on his social media account, "Let there be festivity." Now, New Age newspaper reported that tensions triggered after the Bangladesh Chhatra League announced that ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina would address a virtual session at about 9 p.m. on Wednesday. And earlier, Dhaka Metropolitan Police Joint Commissioner for Crime, Mohammad Farooq Hussain, said that they had deployed additional police forces in and around the Mujib Memorial Museum. However, eyewitnesses said that the protesters were able to reach the museum without major obstacles. And moving on, in a significant escalation of unrest, Rwanda-backed M23 rebels have seized control of areas in eastern Congo, defying the ceasefire they declared for humanitarian aid. Despite announcing the truce for humanitarian corridors, fighting continues, with rebels taking over key areas along the route to Bukavu after they seized Goma last week. The capture has displaced hundreds of thousands of people and fanned fears of a wider regional war. Congo has accused Rwanda of using the M23 to pillage valuable mineral deposits. Now, Rwanda said it is acting in self-defense and to protect ethnic Tutsis. Also, a Congo military court has issued an international arrest warrant for rebel leader Nanga on Tuesday, accusing him of war crimes and treason. Meanwhile, the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs on Wednesday estimated at least 2,900 people died in Goma. Well, International Criminal Court prosecutors said they were closely monitoring the event after reports of possible war crimes in the battle for Goma. And US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order banning transgender athletes from participating in women's sports, fulfilling a promise that was at the center of his election campaign 2024. The order, titled "Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports," mandates that Title 9, the federal law banning sex discrimination in schools, be interpreted as prohibiting the participation of transgender girls and women in female sports. Well, the order will call for immediate enforcement in schools nationwide, and the order, which is likely to face legal challenges, threatens to cut off federal funding for any school that allows transgender women or girls to compete in female-designated sporting competitions. Now, the official said the Department of Education would lead investigations into schools to ensure compliance, but that work could shift to other agencies if the department is dismantled.
With this executive order, the war on women's sports is over. Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. With my action this afternoon, we're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding.
Well, French Prime Minister François Bayrou has survived 2 no-confidence votes in the parliament, paving the way for the adoption of the country's 2025 budget. Now, the budget is seen as key to reducing France's significant debt. The no-confidence motions were introduced by far-left lawmakers after Bayrou invoked his special constitutional powers to push through the budget without a parliamentary vote. However, the motions failed to gain sufficient support, with only 128 lawmakers voting in favor of the first motion and 122 in favor of the second motion. The far-right National Rally and centre-left Socialist did not back the motion, citing the need for a budget for the country. In his address to the lawmakers, Bayrou, however, acknowledged that the budget is imperfect and is just an emergency step.
Budget imparfait.
We have an imperfect budget, and I would like to tell those who have noticed that our goal, our intention is for this budget is to not the same next year. If we could achieve the goals, what we have set. And so this budget is an emergency step.
Well, France has been experiencing political instability since President Emmanuel Macron called a surprise snap election in June, a move that resulted in a hung parliament with no single party holding a majority. And Argentina has announced that it plans to pull out of the World Health Organization following in the footsteps of the United States, which announced its exit from the UN agency last month. Well, Argentina's President Milei, who considers Trump a close ally, ordered the country's exit in response to differences regarding the WHO's management of health issues, particularly its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The 2 leaders have each criticized the World Health Organization for its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, and a spokesperson for President Milei said that the decision to exit the WHO was triggered by differences regarding health management, especially during the pandemic. He said WHO guidelines at the time led to the largest shutdown in the history of mankind.
President Milei instructed Foreign Minister Gerardo Wirthain to withdraw Argentina's participation from the World Health Organization. This decision is based on the deep differences, particularly regarding health management, especially during the pandemic.
Well, U.S. President Trump's recent remarks about Ukraine's potential NATO membership, raising security concerns for Russia, have sparked increased diplomatic activity, with Moscow welcoming the comments. Meanwhile, Britain continues its support for Ukraine with fresh financial aid. More in this report.
U.S. President Donald Trump's remarks that Ukraine joining NATO potentially raises Russia's concern of security threat. Following this statement, the diplomatic efforts have intensified. Moscow has welcomed Trump's words.
For the first time, President Trump, in one of his first speeches criticizing the position of the Biden administration on the Ukraine crisis, bluntly said that one of the main mistakes was drawing Ukraine into NATO, and that if Trump had been president in the previous 4 years, that would not have happened and the conflict would not have started.
Russia has been in contact with the Trump administration and has maintained that ministerial-level discussions have been intensified.
Контакты по линии отдельных ведомств.
There are indeed contacts between individual departments and they have been intensifying recently, but I can't tell you any other details. We have nothing else to say.
However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's willingness to negotiate directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin was dismissed by the Kremlin, which labeled it as empty words.
Давайте чесно, Путін вбивця.
Let's be honest. If our allies believe we must move to the diplomatic track, and I believe we are ready to move to the diplomatic track, there must be the United States of America, Europe, Ukraine, and Russia. If that was the only setup in which we can bring peace to the citizens of Ukraine and stop losing people, definitely we will go for this setup, for a meeting with these four participants.
On the other hand, Britain continues to support Ukraine, with Foreign Minister David Lammy announcing an additional $68.7 million in financial aid during his visit to Kyiv on Wednesday to strengthen Ukraine. Meanwhile, Kyiv has intensified aerial strikes on Russia's energy and military sites, set an oil depot on fire in southwestern Russia. Ukraine claimed the Albastian's refinery in Karan-Sodar supplies fuel to Russian forces. Russian troops seized the settlements of Baranivka and Novolensk in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk and Kharkiv regions. With Rabindra Chauhan, Syed Afzarul Hassan for DD India.
Well, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. During the visit, Hegseth emphasized the importance of peace through strength and noted that the Pentagon is ready to look at all options regarding Gaza. Hegseth's remarks came a day after President Donald Trump expressed interest in U.S. control and redevelopment of the region.
I would just say to the question of Gaza, the definition of insanity is attempting to do the same thing over and over and over again. And as the President and Prime Minister pointed out last night, the President is willing to think outside the box, look for new and unique dynamic ways to solve problems that have felt like they're intractable. So we look forward to more conversations about that, creative solutions to that, and as the man tasked with leading the Defense Department here, we're prepared to look at all options, as we've said before.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. A Japan Airlines Boeing 7879 Dreamliner struck the tail of a Delta Airlines 737-800 while taxiing at Seattle Tacoma International Airport of United States on Wednesday. Delta confirmed that no injuries were reported and that passengers were transferred to another plane. Authorities are investigating the incident. Fans of Cristiano Ronaldo gathered at Times Square on Wednesday to unveil a 12 feet tall bronze statue of a Portuguese football legend created by sculptor Sergio Fornari. The statue remained mobile. Fornari crafted the statue as a tribute to Ronaldo's career and global influence on his 40th birthday. Dozens of Ismaili community members gathered in Lisbon for prayers and celebrations honoring their new spiritual leader, Prince Rahim Al Husseini, as the 50th hereditary Imam. His appointment was revealed after the will of his late father, Prince Karim Aga Khan IV, was unsealed. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. UN General Assembly President on 4-day visit to India, key global and regional issues to be discussed. India poised for AI revolution, Sam Altman highlights nation's key role in global AI landscape. And at National Games, Suruchi of Haryana claims gold medal in shooting. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. President of the 79th session of the UN General Assembly, Philmin Yang, is on a 4-day visit to India. During his visit, will also pay a courtesy call on India's President, Draupadi Murmu. Earlier, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Philmin Yang in New Delhi. The two leaders discussed various issues on the United Nations agenda, including the need for reformed multilateralism. They also exchanged views on regional, global and developmental issues. Taking to microblogging site X, Jaishankar appreciated Philmin Yang's leadership and guidance at the UN. Apart from New Delhi, Yang will be visiting Bengaluru. And as India embarks on an exciting artificial intelligence journey, OpenAI co-founder and CEO Sam Altman praised the nation's growing AI influence, calls India incredibly important for AI development.
India is stepping into an exciting new era of artificial intelligence. OpenAI co-founder and CEO Sam Altman has called India a very important market for AI, its second biggest globally. During his meeting with India's IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, Altman discussed the nation's ambitious AI roadmap. The focus? Building a full-stack AI ecosystem, from GPUs to models and applications. Minister Vaishnav highlighted India's ability to develop cost-effective AI models, much like its affordable space missions.
Our young entrepreneurs, our startups, our researchers, they are really focused on getting that next level of innovation, which will reduce the cost. See, our country sent a mission to the moon at a fraction of the cost that many other countries did, right? Why can't we do a model which will be a fraction of the cost that many other countries do?
The minister also urged Indian startups to drive innovation in AI, announcing an open competition to accelerate groundbreaking solutions. Altman praised India's commitment to making technology accessible to all.
India is an incredibly important market for AI in general, for OpenAI in particular. It's our second biggest market, tripled users here in the last year, but mostly seeing what people in India are building with AI at all levels of the stack, chips, models, all of the incredible applications. So I think India should be doing everything. I think India should be one of the leaders of the AI revolution. It's really quite amazing to see what the country has done and embraced the technology and building, again, the entire stack of things on top of it.
India is gearing up to launch its own indigenous AI model in just 6 months. This homegrown AI will strengthen India's position as a trusted global leader in ethical and secure AI technologies.
भारत वो देश है जिसके इंडिया एआई मिशन को लेकर के पूरी दुनिया बहुत आशावादी है और विश्व के एआई प्लेटफॉर्म में भारत की मौजूदगी एक महत्वपूर्ण स्थान प्राप्त कर चुकी है और 21वीं सदी पूरी तरह टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन सेंचुरी है। ऐसे में हमारे लिए आवश्यक है कि भारत डीप टेक के क्षेत्र में बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़े।
With high-end common computing facility, the India AI mission is making AI more accessible, especially in Indian languages. While global AI models cost around $2.5 to $3 per hour, India's AI model will cost less than ₹100 per hour after a 40% government subsidy. That's 9 times more efficient than China's DeepSeek and 2/3 the cost of ChatGPT. Tripti Tripathi reporting for DD India.
Well, Pritisha Muthraprasad, better known by the artist name Pritisha M, is a talented 12-year-old from Springs of the East Rand in Gauteng, South Africa. Her love for music and passion for singing and entertaining started at the tender age of 3, and she's very fond of playing the harmonium. She's blossoming rapidly and gaining popularity in her singing career. Our DD India correspondent Nazneen Ismail has met with her.
Pratisha Mathura Prasad, also known as Pratisha M, is a 15-year-old singer from Springs, South Africa. She gained recognition in 2020 after meeting the Indian Idol's 11 finalists and recording her first song, Moments of Love. At 12, she became the first South African to release an original Hindi song, Meri Maa. Pratisha has performed at Shreya Ghoshal's concert in South Africa and released several songs, including the inspirational Ye Hawaaye about overcoming the pandemic. In 2021, her track Hum Na Bhulenge Tumko was a tribute to her late grandfather, and in 2022 she released Love Me, a fusion of English and Zulu in the Amapiano genre, earning her the Best Newcomer title at the MBA Awards. Her music has received airplay in South Africa, India, and Canada.
My most memorable performance was when I was the opening act for Shreya Ghoshal. It was such a vibrant night, and definitely it was so amazing meeting her backstage. The most challenging part about a singer, especially at my age, is balancing between school, academics, drama, whatever else I do in between altogether. When I get criticized, I tend to take everything with a pinch of salt. What I want my legacy to be in the music industry is to make an impact in the music industry. I want to be remembered for my positivity. I stay motivated by remembering all the things there are to be grateful for in life. So my family, my pet Sky, my grandfather mainly. One thing I wish I knew when I started out was that I had to learn to support myself and not rely on so much validation from other people. Kill everybody with kindness is the best piece of advice I've received from my grandfather. If I could perform anywhere in the world, I'd choose Times Square in New York. I love America so much, and definitely the Eiffel Tower and India, of course. My motto is, and this one comes from my mum, go big or go home. तू क्या जाने तेरी दुआ में क्या असर है इधर तू हाथ उठाए उधर दुआ कबूल है मेरी हर एक सांस में बस तू है मेरी माँ मेरा रब मेरा खुदा सब तू है मेरी माँ माँ की दुआ वक्त तो क्या नसीब भी बदल देती है
Thank you so much for sharing your insights on your music journey with us today. We wish you all the success, and we can't wait to hear what's next.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing being here.
So I'm Nazneen.
And I'm Pratisha M.
For DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa.
And the three-match one-day international series between India and England kicks off in Nagpur on Thursday. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma have returned to the Indian fold after a month-long break. India will hope to fine-tune their preparations for the upcoming ICC Champions Trophy. Mystery spinner Varun Chakravarti has been added to the squad after his remarkable performance in the recently concluded T20 series against England. England batsman Joe Root will make his first ODI appearance since 2023 after being named in the team for the opening match, and England will be eager to make up for a 4-1 defeat in the T20 series. And some update from the 38th National Games now. The shooting event saw intense competition at the Trishul shooting range, with top athletes from across the country showcasing their skills. In the 10-meter air pistol women final, Suruchi from Haryana claimed the gold medal with a remarkable score of 245.7. Palak, also from Haryana, secured the silver medal with 243.6, while Simranpreet Kaur Barar from Punjab took home the bronze medal with a score of 218.8. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.